I've been using the iPhone 17 Pro Max for the past 72 hours, and I've got to be honest, this might be the year Apple finally gives Android users a reason to switch. From the bold new design to the insane battery life and the cameras, there's no denying it, Apple has made some serious moves. But is it really enough to pull someone away from Samsung, Google, or even OnePlus? So here are my honest thoughts on the iPhone 17 Pro Max 3 days later. This year, Apple made some of the boldest design changes we've seen in a long time to the 17 Pro and the 17 Pro Max. And honestly, I love it. When you actually hold the 17 Pro Max, the first thing you notice is how comfortable this phone feels. Apple's new aluminum unibody makes the phone feel more unified, and the softer curves on the side make it a lot more comfortable against your palm compared to last year. But let's be real, this thing is big. With a 6.9-inch display and a little bit more thickness this year, one-handed use is definitely tougher, especially if you've got smaller hands. Now back to the aluminum unibody frame. Some people, including myself, were upset that Apple moved away from titanium, and I totally get it. Titanium just feels a lot more premium in the hands, and it's much more resistant to scratches and dents. A lot of people online are already reporting scratches on the aluminum frame, and things like Scratchgate are trending. So as soon as you unbox this phone, put it into a case immediately, like right now. But despite all that, to me the move to aluminum makes total sense. Aluminum paired with the new vapor cooling chamber means the phone actually stays cooler under heavy use. It's a functional shift that had to be done because the iPhone 15 Pro and the iPhone 16 Pro had way too many overheating issues, at least in my experience. Now the big one, the new camera plateau. Instead of that awkward corner bump we've had for years, Apple stretched the entire camera area across the top and gave it balance. I honestly love how this looks. It's bold, it's futuristic, and to me it finally makes the back of the phone look more intentional instead of having just a giant lump on one side. And it's not just for the looks. The extra space makes room for better cooling, bigger sensors, and improved internals. It's one of those rare cases where form and function really work together. And now for my own personal dilemma. So the iPhone 17 Pro Max comes in 3 different colors this year: deep blue, cosmic orange, and silver. And honestly, while the blue and the orange are still getting all the hype, I want to share my thoughts with you guys on the silver. Because for me, this was the hardest decision I've had to make when it comes to tech. Let me explain. At first, I really liked the look of the cosmic orange, but then I saw some of those early pictures leaked online, and it kind of changed my mind. Then I decided on silver. I placed my order, and I even ran a poll on Twitter, Threads, and Instagram. The results were close, but you guys all chose silver. Then the next day, my wife looks at me and says,
I actually prefer the orange. It looks so much better. This is super plain, and boring. I think the orange you stand out way more. Why'd you get the silver?
And now, of course, like clockwork, I want the orange. The problem is it won't be available until the end of October, so silver it is for now. The funny thing is, the more I use it, the more I feel like silver is the classiest color this year. This two-tone finish looks so clean in person. For me, silver has always had that timeless classic Apple vibe. It's subtle, it's elegant, and it doesn't scream for attention depending on who you are. With the aluminum unibody frame this year, silver just looks really consistent and minimal in the best way possible. And if you're like me and you don't want your phone to feel trendy one year and then outdated the next, silver feels like the safe bet. It's a long-lasting choice. But I don't know, I could be wrong. Now, one of the biggest upgrades on the iPhone 17 Pro this year isn't just the cameras or the design, it's the display. Apple made some meaningful changes here. And after using it, I've got to say this screen is really impressive, but it's not perfect. The first thing I noticed is just how bright this display gets. Peak brightness outdoors is better than last year, and in direct sunlight, I can still read messages and scroll comfortably. Apple also added an anti-reflective coating, which helps reduce glare. But here's the thing, it's good, but it's not as effective as the one that we get on the S25 Ultra. Samsung's display still handles reflections better in tough lighting. Look at that. Now, scrolling on iOS 26 feels buttery smooth thanks to the 120Hz ProMotion display. Everything from social media to gaming feels fluid, and it's still one of the best high refresh rate panels out there. Apple really nailed the polish in daily use. The display can dim all the way down to just 1 nit, which is perfect for using in bed or in a dark room without blasting your eyes. The colors look vibrant, HDR video pops, and the OLED blacks are as deep as ever. It's a fantastic panel for movies, photos, and content. But if we're being real, it's not flawless. The iPhone 17 Pro Max still doesn't hit absolute peak brightness numbers that some Android flagships hit. And during long video recording sessions, I've noticed that the screen does dim slightly as the phone warms up. It's not a huge issue, but it's still there. As I mentioned earlier, the first thing you should be doing this year if you're picking up the iPhone 17 Pro or the Pro Max is to grab a case. Apple switched to an aluminum unibody, and as nice as it feels in the hands, it scratches super easily. That's literally why there's no black iPhone this year. The scratches would have been insane. Now, the case that I've been using is the Taurus O-Stand Q3 Air. and it's kind of the perfect match for this phone. First off, you get real protection. The airbag corners are designed to absorb impact, so even if you do drop it, you're not stressing about cracks or dents. But here's the unique twist. Built right into the back is a 360 magnetic stand. That means your phone basically has a pocket tripod built in. And with all of these new camera upgrades, center stage selfies, dual capture video, and ultra stabilized clips, this stand actually lets me use those features in the way that Apple intended. I can simply just flip it out, drop the phone on a desk, a cafe table, or even a railing outside and start shooting hands-free. I've used it for vlogging, hopping on video calls, and even grabbing stabilized outdoor shots without carrying extra gear. It's one of those accessories that makes the iPhone 17 Pro Max feel complete. You get protection, versatility, and way more creativity all in one case. If you guys are interested, there's a link for you guys in the description below. I personally love Torah's products. I've been using their stuff for years, and this case is legit. Now, after using the iPhone 17 Pro Max for the past 3 days, my biggest takeaway is simple. This is the best battery life I've ever experienced on a flagship smartphone, period. Apple claims up to 39 hours of video playback, and while that is a lab number, my real-world usage has been surprisingly close. Across 72 hours of heavy testing, shooting 4K clips, consistent 5G, social media, YouTube, even gaming, I consistently ended my days with 40 to 50% left. This endurance comes from more than just a bigger battery. Apple's new A19 Pro chip is insanely efficient. The LTPO OLED display that drops down to 1 Hz and iOS 26's aggressive background management all combine to sip power more efficiently than ever. The result is a phone that doesn't make you think about battery life. You just use it and it lasts all day long, sometimes even 2 days. The trade-off here is the charging. Wired charging speeds cap at 35 watts, about 0 to 50% in 25 minutes, and a full charge in an hour and 40 minutes. And wireless charging is faster, but it's still just 25 watts MagSafe. Now, compared to some Android flagships that go from 0 to 100% in under 30 minutes, Apple does feel behind here. But since the Pro Max rarely needs a midday top-up, charging is less of a deal breaker. And that brings me to my conundrum. So I live in Canada, Toronto specifically, and I'm stuck with the eSIM-only model of the iPhone 17 Pro Max, which, to be fair, does come with a slightly larger battery. But it's a hassle for me as a tech reviewer constantly swapping devices. Physical SIM cards are still way more convenient. That said, after 3 days, I can confidently say that the iPhone 17 Pro Max is not only Apple's battery champ, but the best battery on a flagship device, period. If you want an iPhone that you never have to worry about charging, the iPhone 17 Pro Max is the one to buy. Okay, now let's talk about the cameras on the iPhone 17 Pro Max. After testing them for a few days, I can honestly say this is one of the biggest upgrades Apple has made in years. And I've definitely noticed a difference in real-world usage. First off, the specs. All 3 cameras this year are now 48 megapixels, the main, the ultra-wide, and the telephoto. That's a huge step up, because now every lens can capture more detail and handle tricky lighting a lot better. The telephoto lens especially stands out. It's a 48 megapixel sensor with true 4x optical zoom. And with Apple's cropping tricks, you can push it all the way up to 8x, while still keeping the optical quality detail. I've also noticed that the selfie camera has been bumped up to 18 megapixel with center stage, which makes group shots and video calls sharper and better framed. In real-world use, photos come out sharp with colors that feel natural but not flat. What impressed me most though is the low-light performance. Shadows look cleaner and there's less grain than ever before. The ultra-wide lens is way sharper and exposes dark areas much better this year. On the zoom side, the 4x looks fantastic. It's crystal clear. Even at 8x, the results are surprisingly good, but not perfect. It is way more usable than past iPhones. I did run into a quirk though. Under some really bright LED lighting, I've noticed weird little artifacts or flares in photos. It doesn't happen often, but it's something I picked up on. The zoom system is probably the most fun upgrade. At 4x, it's true optical zoom, so shots are sharp. At 8x, it's technically cropped, but Apple's processing here makes it feel closer to optical quality. Beyond that, of course, the sharpness begins to dip, but up to 8x, I've been really impressed with what I've been getting. Video is as strong as ever, stabilization looks smoother, and recording in different lighting conditions feels more consistent. I've shot clips walking through sunlight into shadows, and the exposure shift here is a lot cleaner than before. The selfie camera is also much better this year, wider field of view, sharper detail, and more balanced exposure in low light. It makes a real difference for FaceTime calls and casual selfies. Like, that field of view is crazy this year. My overall take, the jump to 48 megapixels across all cameras isn't just a spec sheet flex. You actually see it in the detail, especially in low light when zooming in. The 4x and the 8x zoom levels are usable now, portraits look great, and video feels smoother. It's not flawless, the artifact issue is real, and extreme zoom still falls apart when compared to some Android flagships. But overall, I think this is the most complete iPhone camera system Apple has ever made. So after 3 days, here's the reality. This phone is big, it's heavy, and it's unapologetic about it. One-hand use is basically off the table unless you've got huge hands. But the trade-off is worth it. You're getting a bigger screen, the best endurance, and the most capable camera system Apple offers. iOS 26 has been running smoothly for me so far, no bugs really worth mentioning. And the phone feels a lot more stable now even under heavy workloads. What made me especially impressed is the battery life. The 17 Pro Max comes out on top, even beating the Galaxy S25 Ultra. That kind of endurance is a strong reason for Android users who are considering to make the switch. My biggest takeaway though is that the iPhone 17 Pro Max feels like a phone that's built for the long run. The new frame, the new cooling system, and the outstanding battery life, these are updates you'll feel not just now, but 2-3 years down the line. Yes, the phone is expensive, and yes, it is pretty heavy. But if you want the most complete experience, this is the one to get. If you guys made it to the end of this video, drop a dolphin emoji down in the comments below. I would love to know who my true supporters are. And with that being said, hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications, and I'll catch you guys all in my 1-week review, which should be dropping in the next 4 days. And don't forget, if you guys want to check out some of these wallpapers, they are linked in the description, and my entire store is 20% off for September. And thank you so much for supporting the channel. It really does mean a lot to me.